All right, Nick, what else we got for us?
Well, you guys talked about Steelers versus Falcons in week 1, Kirk Cousins potentially being the starter for his new team. Bill Barnwell of ESPN then threw out yesterday that maybe next year Kirk Cousins is in week 1 with the Steelers again, but this time on the Steelers sideline as their starting quarterback. What do you think about that one?
Steven, I'm going to ask you first. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like Kirk Cousins is a good football player and everything like that.
Yeah.
I think he could elevate the Steelers to a level, give them a level of quarterback play that they haven't had in a while. Man, he costs a lot of money, like even more than you think. Like I had to look up his cap hit this morning. It is it's more than $60 million. Like I mean, the Steelers conservatively, I mean, at best, have roughly $85 million in cap space next year, and that's before you start talking about, new deals for guys like Jalen Warren or Pat Freiermuth. And there's some other big name free agents. What you do with Cam Hayward as well is a big question too. So I don't know. I think at this point there are too many questions about where the Steelers are at salary cap wise to even consider this. I mean, it would have to be a deal like the Denver Broncos had with Russell Wilson, quite honestly. And this is all also assuming that, that Russell Wilson, I guess he could play really well and then price himself out of Pittsburgh, but it also assumes that they don't get a deal done with Justin Fields, that they don't turn to him as the backup option and get him on a cheap deal as well. And it also assumes that both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields don't look like your guy moving forward for any number of reasons, which I have a hard time believing that of those two, they'll strike out on both of them. I just think the odds of that are pretty low. So Kirk Cousins really doesn't seem like an option at all. If you want to mortgage the rest of your future and you think Kirk Cousins can carry you to a Super Bowl, then fine. I don't see it that way, and it doesn't seem like a wise investment of your money.
No. Look at Kirk. I'm a big Kirk Cousins guy. If Kirk Cousins has won a couple of Super Bowls, and you're looking at him saying there is like almost an impossible shot that he comes to Pittsburgh and doesn't win a Super Bowl, yeah, shoot for the stars. Go win a Super Bowl. Who cares? But Kirk Cousins is a really good quarterback who is as expensive as quarterbacks come in the NFL and hasn't won a Super Bowl. So hasn't even gotten to a Super Bowl. So I don't look at him and say this is a guy that you're putting all your eggs in one basket and guaranteeing yourself a shot at Lombardi. And if that's not the case, then it's not worth it, because you could find another quarterback that doesn't completely ruin the rest of your roster, just like you said, and Kirk Cousins does. Like, Kirk Cousins ruins the rest of your roster. You have to make really tough financial decisions, really tough roster decisions by acquiring Kirk Cousins. On top of, what are you giving up to go get? It's not like you're giving up a 6th-round pick to go get Kirk Cousins. You know what I mean? You're giving up a 1st-round pick to go get Kirk Cousins. That just doesn't make any sense. This is up there. We've talked about a lot of wild stuff. Most of the time it's from places where you expect wild stuff. ESPN, I was like, wow, really? Really? Kirk Cousins to the Pittsburgh Steelers next offseason. That's also banking on like Michael Penix being an absolute stud and somehow earning the job, and the Falcons saying, yeah, we screwed up big time by signing Kirk. That was our issue. It's banking on the Steelers not having a long-term plan for Justin Fields, which I highly doubt that they don't to some degree. It's just like you said, banking that Russ stinks. There's just too much that goes into this to say Kirk Cousins makes sense.
Right, and then also counting on the Falcons to eat for Cousins to be so bad that they want to eat $40 million.
$40 million.
Yeah, of dead money to. Yeah, this one doesn't make any sense at all. And I think you also look at the Steelers' wide receiver situation. Like, George Pickens could be really good, but I think even in the most generous projections of Roman Wilson, he's not the kind of receiver that I think can elevate Kirk Cousins. Like, that's the thing about Kirk Cousins. When he's at his most successful, he's had a Justin Jefferson to throw to. He's had a Jordan Addison to throw to.
Yep.
He's had really good players around him that have really good receivers and skill players around him that have made him look a lot better. And that's not to take anything away from him, but I don't think the Steelers have the kind of pass-catching core right now that could elevate him, make him look like the quarterback that he's been over the past year, 2 years, things like that.
No, exactly. And just like you said, at the beginning of this, he'd have to be so bad for the Falcons to say we're going to bail on $40 million, which, again, like, why are you making the deal if you're the Steelers if Kirk Cousins is so bad that the Falcons just bailed out? Doesn't make – nope, I'm scratching it all. Kirk Cousins, not a fan of it. Not a fan.